We kind of expressed it, but we never did anything with it. And then fast forward a couple more years, and then Jami decides, you know what, let's open a gym. So we decided to open a gym.
For me, it became more about like helping promote health and like making sure that, I was taking care of whoever I was coaching. There was a moment where I was like, I don't think I'm going to do competitors anymore. I think I'm just going to do lifestyle and help people optimize their health. And he actually said, like, the athletes are the ones that need you the most because there's not a lot of coaches out there that are focusing on making sure you're maintaining overall health. Really cool though, because ultimately, like, we have such different approaches that, we can create like an optimal outcome. I've had to learn how to just slow down and let him do his process.
This is very entrepreneurial, very Wild West, very less structure, and somewhere in between, on any given day, I'm just wanting to find my sea legs and figure out which way is the wind blowing today.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Success. We are joined by our amazing clients, Jami and Greg DeBernard, who are the founders of FitBody Fusion, the hosts of the FitBody Lifestyle podcast. And prior to all of this bodybuilding brilliance, former lawyer, Army, and you were in fintech and did, I'm sure, a lot of other things that we would love to know about. So before you guys got into this amazing bodybuilding world, what were you doing? I know you were competing, and I know that you...
Can I just stop real quick?
Yes.
Did you say former lawyer?
Are you still
Did the
practicing?
Bar Association contact you or something? Because I never got a notice.
I'm sorry.
So
I thought you
I'm just saying
the bar for
still
barbells.
No, I'm still an active member of the bar. And
are you still fighting?
Of Arizona, Texas, and California, yeah. So,
jeez.
I'm just wondering whether the
Still
bar...
legal
I'm
badass.
starting my continuing legal education for the year, and I'm wondering, God, did they contact you? And
we've retired
geez,
you.
okay,
Just
all right.
eliminated
It's nice
it for
to know.
you.
I have 0 disciplinary hearings, but apparently they've revoked my license, and I'm discovering it today.
You're
That's
welcome.
awesome.
Welcome to the show.
Andy's a smart ass.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
better than a dumbass,
No,
as my
that's
dad always
super
said.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's better. I love that. Better than a dumbass. I apologize.
You don't need to apologize.
How long did it take you to pass all those freaking states? Because the bar exam is different for everywhere.
God, I took the California bar exam about a month before I left for active duty.
Okay.
And I was on active duty and I was convinced that I didn't pass. So the California bar exam has like a 50% passage rate, and like 47%, I think, the year I did it. And I was at Fort Knox on active duty. My senior class my class advisor, the guy that was in charge of our class, he was the one who swore me in. He said he's never done that. I think I'm one of the few people that was sworn in by a non-lawyer or a non-judge. So I passed the first time, and then Texas you helped me with Texas. Texas was a paperwork nightmare. That was,
Reciprocation?
Yeah. So they're one of the few states that gives reciprocity to California.
Which is amazing.
That's nice.
Not according to the 3 bankers' boxes of documents that I had to provide.
Everything from 10 years back.
I almost wish I would have sat for the bar there, and then Arizona is a little bit different. They give reciprocity to Texas as long as you're in-house, and so technically I'm in-house with FitBody Fusion.
So you're able to get... That's pretty cool. California is the worst of them. You pass that, and then Texas is like, okay, give us your life story and paperwork, and then, okay, you're in. And then Arizona's like, well, we'll look at Texas, and we'll give you a thumbs up because of Texas.
Pretty much.
But they wouldn't look at California and give you the thumbs up just from California.
California is a weird state because it doesn't give reciprocity to any other state.
Okay.
And because and that's changed a little bit. So now they have multi-state exams that you can take that will allow you to be a member of several states at one time. But California didn't give and unless this has changed, didn't give reciprocity to any other state. So every other state's like, well, screw you, and I don't blame them, for doing that. There was a backdoor way into getting in we're talking way too much about lawyer stuff.
I know.
So it's not
Leave
even
it to the lawyer to legalists.
We just finished Lincoln Lawyer. So
yeah, lawyers can talk.
Yeah.
Okay, we're actually watching season 1 of that right now, so don't tell me anything.
Awesome.
We just started it too yesterday.
So weird. What
It's
are
so
the
good.
odds?
We're done. Yeah, we won't tell y'all.
Moving on to Jami. Tell us about you and how you were in fintech. I know that you worked with your dad for a little while. I don't know the rest.
Yeah, I was actually in banking. So
okay.
yeah. We were in banking, merchant services. And yeah, we built a company together, my dad and I did. And we basically did all the services that banks need for their merchants. So whether they needed a terminal programmed and sent out to them, or help desk support, or whatever they needed to keep their merchant card services running. So they'd call Wells Fargo and we would answer the phone, Wells Fargo Merchant Services, how can we help you? My terminal's broken. We'll get you one out, and then it would be custom programmed and everything for them. So that's what I did before. Yeah.
And how long were you in that?
But wait, we need to, there's one little detail here that I really think is interesting, because there's a movie with George Clooney and the singer girl, I can't remember, where they fly around and they're with a company that acquires other companies, and so they go in and basically fire everybody.
Yes.
Do you know the movie I'm talking about?
Yes, but now I can't think of the name of it.
But
yes.
Jami did that for a while. So she actually flew to, I think, Buffalo when you were pregnant. I'm sorry. Did you not want to go into that?
No, it's fine.
She's like,
It's
"That's a
fine. I
fun
mean, I don't know
story."
how deep we're going.
I don't mean fire, but your company was acquiring.
Yeah,
a lot
well,
of
we
it,
started with 25 employees and we had 1,500 by the time we left. We acquired several companies throughout, and then I was chief operating officer, and then I did like the M&A. I prepared us for an IPO, and then we ended up actually selling to First Data, which is a Fortune 50. So there was a lot more to it. I was kind of like just summing it up in a few words or less.
We're talking about media, and I just thought
Yeah.
You're like a corporate queen. I mean, an absolute badass in
Like
terms
business
of
building
mergers,
background.
acquisitions.
Yeah. And I mean, I did other things before that. I taught graduate school and MBA, marketing management, internet marketing, things like that. So I've done a lot of different. There's so much more, but it's kind of like, how long do we have?
Okay, so you get into
Not enough time.
bodybuilding while you're in the midst of your corporate banking career, or do you get into it as soon as you hang that hat?
So the first show I did, I was finishing up my graduate degree. I was building this company. I was raising 2 children, and I was teaching graduate school as an adjunct professor a couple nights a week, and I decided I wanted to do a bodybuilding competition. That was my first
Yeah, I mean, you had tons of time on your hands.
There's not enough.
I'm like, yeah. So that was kind of crazy. And so I did that one show, and then I didn't come. That was 1999, really giving my age away. And then didn't come back until like 2008. And that's where I was like, I don't know if I'm too old for this, but I'm going to go for it anyway. And ended up doing really well, turning pro in 2011, doing the Olympia 2011, 2012. And then around that time when I was competing at the Olympia is when I started coaching. And it was really just a passion project more than anything else. I just love bodybuilding so much. And, I had women coming to me and they were interested in me helping them. And I started coaching and I was like, wow, I'm really good at this. So my old corporate background and kind of my focus on organizational behavior, I said, you know what, I want to build this in a way that it's never been done before. I had worked with the coaches that like they get really good and then they take on too many clients and then their quality starts to suffer and everything else. So I'm like, how could I do this in a way that, allows us to keep the quality, but still grow the business? And so I really focused on, rather than it being the Jami DeBernard show, it was, creating a business where we could start mentoring coaches. And then that way we were able to actually like keep a very high quality of product, our athletes going on stage and their experiences and things like that, but still grow. So, we're somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 athletes, 18 Olympia qualifications last year. I think we're by far the biggest coaching team in the industry. And I think that's just a lot of that comes from my background and just a very different way of approaching it and a different goal in mind. Ultimately, I want to be the best coach I can be, but for me, the higher level of satisfaction comes from when the coaches I've mentored actually have success. So, just kind of a different outlook and approach on how to do it. So
why did you get the lawyer involved?
I ask myself that question every day.
Well, the thing about Greg is he's an amazing mentor. He by far is the best mentor I've ever seen, in the military and his corporate career and everything else. And, we're a really great team because I tend to be a lot more technical in my approach. And while I do love like the interpersonal piece of it, he's on the next level, like his patience and his understanding and his, listening to, whether it's our athletes or our coaches and, things like that. And just like providing them with like this level of like care and support, is just next level. And plus we love to just do everything together. And, when he got close to, he was already helping a ton and, traveling with me and doing all these things and really involved. It's funny, we'll go to a show and we have a lot of athletes competing in any one show. I mean, the biggest,
On average, how many do you have in a show?
I'd say it's usually like on the low end 10. The highest end like would be our biggest show of the year tends to be Bikini Universe. It's a pro qualifier and it's been anywhere from 55 to 65 athletes. Wow. So there's a lot going on. And there can only be one winner in each class, right? So we're going to have people that are elated and are ready to party and celebrate. We're going to have people that are, disappointed, even if they did well, maybe they didn't get their pro card or whatever it is that they're looking for, their pro win or whatever. And so it's just been great because we're able to celebrate. There's two of us here. We're able to celebrate with those people that are celebrating, and we're able to like really, help the people that maybe are a little bit disappointed in that moment, where Greg comes in really well at, refocus. Like, what did you accomplish? Was this the best version of yourself? Like, do you have direction going forward? So when he retired, he thought he retired. He didn't really retire.
He didn't retire.
He works more now than he
already
did
told me
before.
he didn't retire. We know that.
Yeah.
Well, plus I was actually the first bodybuilder in the family, so.
Oh, you were. I heard there was something with Mr. Utah, and you had a really jazzy tan that you won't let anybody see.
That was different.
I know. I just saw that episode come out, and I'm like, dang it! I really should have.
I really
fished
tried
out
to get the photo.
Those pictures
They're
are
in the archive, the vault.
Those are archived, and that was Mr. Utah Tan. But I competed in my first year in law school. I competed in men's open bodybuilding and in mixed pairs, which they don't do mixed pairs anymore.
It used to be a male and a female together, where they would do a routine together. It was really cool.
Cleaned up on that one.
I loved that division. I wish they still had it. It was very artistic. When you have those two people, you could just create some really beautiful
I love that. That sounds fun.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you were the first.
Yep.
But you guys didn't know each other back when you competed. So this is like you're doing your thing, you're doing your thing,
How
and
did
then
y'all
you
meet?
come together much later in life.
Match.com.
Yay!
Oh, I wouldn't have picked that. I would have guessed it would have been at like a bodybuilding show.
Neither of us was doing that at the time that we met.
Okay.
Yeah, because we've been together for almost 21 years total. So so it was
22.
So I wasn't really competing till far into our relationship.
What's been the hardest part about working together day in and day out as you continued to build FitBody Fusion to what it is today?
Ooh, go ahead.
You guys can each give separate answers. Don't give a joint one, unless it ends up being the same.
Go ahead, babe.
No, you tell.
No,
babe. I'm not gonna answer.
I would say
she said I don't have to answer a question, so I'm not gonna answer.
For me, the hardest part is we have very different approaches to things. So sometimes, I'll get frustrated because I'm just like, oh.
Pretty much every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just my mindset is I'm a very, very efficient thinker, whereas he tends to be a very creative, it can be
process is a little longer.
Yes. But I mean, it's really cool though, because ultimately we have such different approaches that, we can create an optimal outcome. I've had to learn how to just slow down and let him do his process. But in the beginning it was challenging.
It's still a challenge. And honestly, I could be more efficient. So, and I know that it's just, this is an area where I'm not, as comfortable as Jami is. And so I would still say that there's parts of me that are still in the transition phase because she's so knowledgeable. She's so proficient. She's the best. I mean, yes, I'm biased, but I think she's the best coach in the industry. And so it's when you're with that, it's hard to make that transition. So I would say the biggest difficulty is just on any one day. I mean, she's here and I'm here, and it's wanting to make sure I deliver what she can deliver. So.
Well, and of course, he says that. I disagree because we just are different. Like, it's a lot of the things that we're doing are different, and the projects that we're working on are different.
But it probably should be that way, right? Because if you guys were exactly the same and stuff, you'd be a lot less effective because it's like,
I don't think that's the most difficult thing. I think that's the best thing is that we are so different.
Yeah.
So what is the most difficult thing to you?
I worked in very structured environments for 31 years. So between the military, which is somewhat structured. That's a joke. That's very structured. And
law is pretty structured.
And the corporate world is very structured and very, especially in it's not just the law. It's that I was working in-house as a trial lawyer and then managing another group of at a higher level. But that's a very structured, well-ordered world. And this is very entrepreneurial, very Wild West, very less structure. And somewhere in between, on any given day, I'm just wanting to find my sea legs and figure out which way is the wind blowing today.
It's really fun because we grew up very differently. Like, I grew up, my dad is an entrepreneur. Like, I've watched him make millions and lose millions and make millions and lose millions. And it's been like, that's been my life. So I kind of have this different perspective, and like, I tend to be maybe take a little bit more risks, and like I kind of see things like, differently, whereas Greg grew up in a very, like, his parents were, kind of depression era sort of parents, like it was a different kind of energy and vibe. But it's really kind of cool because he helps to ground me and help me not be
wild and like just making quick decisions and running by the seat of your
I grew up in a
pants.
blue collar family where my sister and I both graduated at the same time. First ones to graduate from college. I was the first one to go to law school, the only one to go to law school. She went to graduate school too, but I think I graduated before she did from grad school. But it's a very different. I mean, in our world, it was growing up. It's very much, very structured, very well ordered, very, not the wild west. I mean, Layla, you're an entrepreneur, so you build this business
all the time. I'm making decisions like super fast, just like.
And I mean,
it's a different personality
type. My husband
type.
is like, I am going to analyze everything, and he also owns a business, but it's like
they're very differently.
Methodical, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yes. Well, so you understand.
Decide faster.
Right. But it's really interesting because I do think it's a good thing. And it can be frustrating, but I also think it's a good thing. You know what I mean? And then it's been fun to watch him come a little bit more
a little over to the wild side.
Yeah. Like, and get more comfortable with it. Cause I mean, I see that more and more, like, even I remember like when we were first together and like we were looking at houses and things like I'm like, let's get that. He's like, no, are you crazy? I'm like, the money will come.
And she is that way.
But it does. So
I am so that way too. My husband's like, no, let's be so practical about everything. I'm like, oh, I'm so bored. But I know it's good because you can't both be the wild child. That doesn't work out very well.
And it depends on the types of decisions. So as a trial lawyer, man, I had to make split-second decisions all the time. That's easy, but I'm in my environment. In the military, split-second decisions are kind of
life or death.
That's part and parcel of what you do. I mean, when the door goes up on the plane, I got to jump out. I mean, that's like I didn't do the law thing. In
I don't
the
think that was
military.
a choice.
No, it's a choice, but man, it's not really a good choice to not go, especially when you're the first one, because then everybody's cramming up your butt. But this is different. This is not just decision making. It's business decision making, and those things are different than when you own your own business. It's just a different level of decisioning.
Well, and you guys are surrounded by athletes. You got to deal with so many emotions now, right? Like it's not as black and white as business can be, where it's just like, hey, here's the mission, we're going to get it done. You guys have so many different factors that go into.
When your business is people.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's our coaches, it's our athletes, it's a lot of personalities that we're managing. And truly, like, that's why I say, like, Greg brings such a great, like, layer to this is, like, his patience and his, like, he's like that person, like he knows how many kids somebody has and whether their pet has been sick. And they're like, he's just so good at like that piece of it. Whereas I can be a little bit more just like,
cut dry.
Yeah. And it's cool. It's like, he's so thoughtful. He, you know what I mean? Like sending flowers for people, when they're sick, or just the little things that he does that are just really like special, and what made me fall in love with him.
Oh yeah, that's me.
For sure. Like, no, really, truly, like, I was like a florist at my house when we met. So I was like, please stop. I realized I actually am allergic to pollen because he kept sending me these lilies, and the pollen that was in them, you know what I mean? I was like, why am I sneezing all the time? But
the smartest entrepreneurs don't just create businesses, they create content that scales them. At PS Studios, we work with high-level entrepreneurs and creators across the country. Some fly in every month to shoot with us in sunny Scottsdale. Others send us their raw footage and we turn it into scroll-stopping, authority-building content. From filming to editing to distribution, we handle it all. Done for you. Turnkey content that grows your audience, elevates your brand, and keeps you top of mind. Leaders don't wait, they create. Schedule your call today. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, so FitBody Fusion, you guys have obviously built this. How many years has it been since you first started it, signed your LLC paperwork, or however you're registered, to right now, and what's been some of the biggest milestones?
We incorporated in 2011. Gosh.
Sure, 15 years this year.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the flight. So we were on a flight, and this was the flight where we were going out to your dad's, right? When I was going to ask him to marry you.
I don't know what you're about to say.
Yes, you do. You know this story, but maybe I just started at a weird spot. So we're flying. I mean, I knew I wanted to marry her right away. Okay, so
I know what you're going to tell.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like when we met on Match, we talked for like 5 hours, and then I convinced her to let me come up to where she lived, and the deal was that I would drive up in the driveway. I would stand there, and if she liked what she saw, she would turn on the light. And then, or the light was on. If she didn't like what she saw, she'd turn off the light. If she did like, then she'd come out. Okay, so
like the porch light.
Yeah,
I love this.
So that was how we kept it safe.
We actually had like mutual friends and things like that. We had already kind of like determined, like we had kind of.
We were in the same circles and stuff, but we never had met. So that was the first time we met, and I knew I wanted to marry her by the way, so the next day we had, she had a date with a guy that she was seeing at the time, or whatever, dating, whatever. I had plans with a friend, but she's out, I'm out, we're texting each other the whole night. So she left her car at this other guy's house, and I picked her up, and we went and got her car, and we've been together ever since.
That's such a fun story, though.
So we were flying down to meet her dad, and the purpose of that was that I was going to ask him for her hand in marriage. This was, we had been only going out for maybe
not
4
very
months.
long.
Yeah, but she wouldn't marry me for the year late. She made me wait for a year and a half, but I still had to ask, which was cool. I like that. So I go and ask her dad, and he said yes. And then we're flying back, and this was the time when Jami and I were just kind of talking about the future a little bit. We did a all-in disclosure thing where she told me everything and I told her everything, and she says my expression was my head was in my hands, and I'm like, what? But
I have a little bit more.
I didn't think it was that bad. Anyway, so
I'm like, what have you ever done before? He's like, I think I lied when I was 11 years old one time.
So
like, that's all you could come up with. Anyway,
so gem, Jami, you got a gem.
Well, I don't know about that. That's the jury's still out on that, but so we had talked about a gym at that time, and kind of this was 2008, around that, 2008, and it was
like,
just something
I will never own a gym.
Never own a gym, and then
I don't want to make my passion my job, is what I think I said.
that's that. But because we were both into fitness, I mean, one of the first gifts I gave her was a gym membership so that we could work out together. So we had this love of fitness, and it was a big part of my life. I was still heavily involved in the military, and I was running the Officer Canada School in California, and so it's a big thing. But anyway, we kind of expressed it, but we never did anything with it. And then fast forward a couple more years, and then Jami decides, you know what? Well, let's open a gym. So we decided to open a gym.
In Scottsdale or
No, this was
California.
in Sacramento, California. So it was a franchise gym, which was not a good experience. And California is definitely not business friendly. Our time to open that gym went from what should have been 6 months to about a year. They wanted to count the number of nails that we had in the drywall. They wanted an EPA assessment because we wanted to put in a shower. It was a nightmare. Finally got the gym open, and then Jami started coaching, and we were doing these kind of Saturdays where we would bring in some of the
I actually
athletes.
started coaching before we even
That's
opened.
true, before we opened the gym. So the gym. By the time it took us to open the gym, 3 other gyms in the area had opened up. So we were definitely not getting the traffic that we had expected. But in the meantime, Jami's business, or Jami's side hustle, whatever you want to call it, of coaching was really taking off. And that's when we came up with FitBody Fusion as a function of the parent corporation that we did.
Because initially I was coaching just for fun. And then I was like, wow, this is something I can really see being, and actually I went through a period of time where I was going to stop coaching because I was concerned. I went through a little bit of a health crisis with competing and then other people around me. And I started looking for more healthy ways to approach doing it because extreme dieting and some of the things that we do can be
eating disorderly, right?
It can. I mean, and it body dysmorphia, eating issues, like even just metabolic issues because of like if you're not doing things correctly. So for me, it became more about like helping promote health and like making sure that, you know, I was taking care of whoever I was coaching. So there was a moment where I was like, you know, I don't think I'm going to do competitors anymore. I think I'm just going to do lifestyle and help people optimize their health. And he actually said, like, the athletes are the ones that need you the most because there's not a lot of coaches out there that are focusing on making sure you're maintaining overall health. So I was like, okay, I can see what you're saying, you know, and I do think that's also a cornerstone of why we've been so successful. You know, there was just a lot of things that were being done and still are being done by some coaches very old school, and not taking overall health into account. And, you know, so, I mean, we see our athletes being able to compete year round, feeling amazing, staying, you know, fit. They're not having these crazy swings in weight and just all the other things that were going on back then. So, you know,
I don't know if that answered your question. I think it did.
I know we go a lot of different routes there.
No, it definitely did.
Okay.
So our show is based on the American dream, capitalism, and what faith and all of that means to you. I don't know if you guys are religious or not, but
Or spiritual, I would say.
Okay.
So, and before I do want to say one other thing. Before we got into the gym and everything, Jami and I had experimented. When I met Jami, she was a raw vegan.
Oh.
And so I became a raw vegan, and because I wanted to share that with her. And we will always tell the story of at that time it was very difficult for me to get calories in, and so I did these smoothies, these green smoothies, but the green smoothie looked like it came out of a swamp.
Yep, they always do.
And I would put it in this mason jar. I would go into my depositions, and I would put that green jar there, and it was always funny because it would distract the deponent. They were so focused on the green smoothie,
sewage.
on the sludge. But so we went raw vegan for a while. Jami would travel with me a lot of times to my duty station, and we were living in Sacramento. My duty station was a 6-hour drive. So we would drive together, and she would read to me while we were driving, and we would read books on a lot of different kinds of books. Some of the books we read, though, were on health and wellness, and so the China Study was one of the seminal books that we read, just helping us to kind of evolve our a lot of spiritual knowledge
books too,
and a lot of spiritual books about food and just spirituality and all that stuff. So we did raw vegan for a while, and then we went to vegan, and then we went to Ayurvedic, which is Indian based. Ayurvedic and vegan, very, very similar. It's just the cooking aspect of it. But we got really into the fact that there's no single truth. There are many truths and many things. And how can we then coalesce those things to bring those to an athlete in our business? And so we spent about a year. Was that a year with Nicholas? Maybe 6 months with him. We did the business formation
About
a year. So we spent about a year kind of forming the foundation of what we wanted to be as an organization, the culture aspect, which was really a foundational for what we wanted to do. But it was premised a lot on the eating and what we had discovered and what we had been through, as well as the fitness aspect of it.
This is so random, but I know Kendall's thinking it. What do you guys eat now?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
We're sad eaters.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Standard American diet.
Oh,
So
No,
Like,
I know you guys are big on
haven't heard
sharing food.
you know,
we are.
But I want to know, like, you're eating meat again, yes?
yes,
Okay.
yes. I would just say that, kind of, I think part of what he did skip is like at a point I decided to go and get my PhD in holistic nutrition. And as I went through all the coursework, because I really was looking for answers, what is the answer? Because, and that was where the Ayurveda came in, because, the belief there is that you're not going to be able to use the nutrients if they're not cooked. There's truth in both. Like there's aspects of raw food that are healthy, and there's aspects of, cooked whole foods that are healthy. And we came to a point where I wanted to more listen to my intuition, listen to my body. I think there's a time and place for each of these different things, depending on a person's goals, depending on, what works best for their body, maybe depending on, ethical beliefs and other things like that. Because obviously our daughter is a vegan and for ethical reasons. But I would say for us, like it's pretty balanced. It's not really kind of skewing one way or another. I mean, I want to always have a good protein source with each meal. I want to make sure that I'm focused on getting, veggies and fruits and things like that, good, healthy carbohydrate sources. So for me, it's kind of like looking for balance at this point, and then it'll vary. I mean, sometimes we'll go to Taco Bell. So, but most of the times, yesterday we had sushi yesterday. I had a big salad with some salmon yesterday. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's really trying to find that balance.
Do you find ways that you're kind of picking and pulling from all the different diets that you have done to kind of fuse it into your own little version of what you want?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think about all the different things. Like when I think about, I want to get healthy fats, I want to think about obviously minimizing trans fats, and, it's all the little things, and big things that learned along the way that I'm like always processing,
So Jami our athletes track their food. And Jami had done it for so long that she can basically look at a plate and tell you what the macros are for that.
Do you ever make this a game at a restaurant where she'll tell you?
Oh, she's done that, and she has killed certain foods that I like because she told me the macros of them. And once I figured out that once she told me the macros,
do you want to know? And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell you anyway.
I spoiled it. So
I want you to know.
But I would say if there was a principle that kind of overlays this, it's Aristotle. It's nothing to excess. It's everything within reason, nothing to excess. So you can fit most things in. Jami's morning routine, which I always like to share, is so I make her coffee every morning, and it's a Jami coffee. So it's got a cup of egg whites and
half a cup, I hope.
Half a cup, yeah, half a cup of egg whites.
Like a cup is a lot.
half a cup of egg whites and a quarter cup of pea milk, and then stevia, and then coffee. And that's and people have come over that stay with us. Some of our athletes will come and stay with us from time to time, and I'll say, "Do you want a Jami coffee?" And they'll say, "I don't know." And then every time they taste it, it's really good. So
it's an interesting combination.
Yeah, I just want to get some protein in the morning, and I don't really want to. Like, I'm busy, and I don't want to stop and eat. And having egg whites, they're the carton ones. You can't do this with. Actually separate them. Right. You could, but it would be.
So you're buying it already as an egg white in liquid form.
Yeah, and it's pasteurized too. So that's the other thing you just want to be careful of. But, raw egg whites are not completely bioavailable. When they're heated with the coffee, they become a little bit more bioavailable. And then there's also protein in the pea milk. So it's just my way of kind of kicking it off and getting a little bit more protein as I'm getting ready. And then like this morning, I had a big bowl of oatmeal I added a little bit more egg whites to it. And actually added some pea milk to it, and berries and almonds and walnuts. And so that's what we had this morning.
Okay, 2 final questions. I will go and then you finish it off. What does the American dream mean to both of you?
I mean, I feel like I got to grow up truly watching my dad live the American dream. He was didn't come from anything, was self-made. By 30, he, had made his first millions and things like that. So, getting to see what's possible, and then also to completely fall flat and lose everything and then start all over and do it all again. So for me, it's really that, like, it's opportunity. If you're willing to work hard and seize the opportunity and, really the sky is the limit, that's what it's meant for me growing up as a child, and then also, living it myself, and now I think for me, it's also balancing, that it's not just about the financial aspects of it, but it's about, creating community, creating, a life that you enjoy living. So I think, that's been for me the goal and the challenge is to, like, find that sweet spot for myself where I'm living, the kind of life, both financially, but from, a lifestyle and an opportunity to spend time with the people I care about, that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Oh, you want me to answer it too?
Yeah.
The American dream is something that's really based on opportunity. And I saw my father and mother, who lived through the Depression, which I don't know. It's hard to describe that to people, especially now, because I don't even know if they're teaching in the history books anymore. But when you're raised by parents who lived in that, you see the value of opportunity, and also the fact that, I am big on meritocracy, where you get what you work for. And I also love the fact that, and the reason I joined the Army is that I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself, not part of a political structure or, some other thing, but I wanted to be part of something that was where a team can achieve more than that individual ever could.
Oh, what a way.
And he's got his appropriate
patriotic shoes on.
Love.
And final question, what does freedom mean to you?
Go ahead, you start. I started last time.
Well, everybody's free. And somebody taught this to me. One of my sergeant majors gave. I will never forget. We were at a fire around in a place called Fort Irwin, which looks like the moon. It's the desert. It makes the desert around Scottsdale look really cool because it's just barren. It's just bad. But we're out around a fire at Fort Irwin, and we were talking at the time about flag burning because it was all in the news. Oh. And I'll never forget, we were having this talk, and some of the guys that I was around were like, "Oh man, these people should go to jail," and blah. And this sergeant major who had fought in Vietnam came up and said, "You guys need to shut up." And most sergeant majors in the military are crusty, and he was very crusty. He put the rust in crust, and he said, "You just need to calm down. I fought in Vietnam for the right for people to burn flags. I may not agree with it, but that's their right to burn the flag if they want. If that's and man, it was just a whole different perspective. And I really had great respect for him, and I loved him as a soldier. Just fantastic man. So what I always will tell people, and he then talked to me a little bit more, and he said, everybody's free. You're free to do whatever you want. I don't care whether you live here, in Russia, in China, you're free. That's not the standard. The standard is liberty. Liberty is the ability to exercise that freedom and not have consequences for it. So everybody talks about freedom as though, it's a thing, and it is, but we're all free. Everybody has free will. Everybody has free agency. It's the consequences that you pay for that freedom if you exercise it. That's liberty. So for me, it's the ability to exercise my freedom without repercussion.
I love that. That's literally Russ's answer as well. It's so crazy.
Drop the mic.
Go ahead.
What more is there to say?
But you have to give an answer.
I do. I love your answer, though.
Okay.
It's good.
Jamie's opting to not answer, as Greg did earlier.
No, I mean, that really does encapsulate it, though, when you break down what does freedom mean? The ability to exercise it. Well,
I give those things a lot of thought because they're really foundational to our business. But we talked about spirituality and stuff, and listen, we are very spiritual. We believe in higher power. How we exercise that is our freedom, and
100%.
that's our liberty. So everybody's got the right to do what they think. It's when people impose their will on other people, that's when we get out of freedom.
Okay, where can everybody find you guys if they want to join FitBody Fusion, if they just want to listen to the podcast?
They want to reach out.
Like, comment, subscribe, leave your review.
All the things.
I was expecting a better one from you.
I know. I'll work on that. If you want to be free and you want to actually have liberty, then like, comment,
You want
subscribe.
abs and you want to win a competition, call us.
We do have lifestyle folks as well, so which is really fun too, because I feel like a lot of people do come for a lifestyle program because they see how the bodybuilders look and they're like, that's cool. Like, I don't necessarily want to get on stage or go that far, but I want to learn how to live that kind of lifestyle. So we do a big portion of our business is lifestyle, so people don't have to want to compete to come to us. But FitBodyFusion.com is where people can find us and fill out an application, free consultation. They get to say whether they're transformation, lifestyle, competition, and then they get that from there. They'll get to the right coach that's going to help them meet their goals. And then, of course, our podcast is Fit Body Lifestyle. So come watch us on any, and we're on all
Streaming platforms.
Fit Body Lifestyle.
Love it.
And we
Thank you,
coach all
guys.
kinds, so men, women. I would say we probably are more female heavy. Most of our coaches are women, but we do have some great male coaches around. Drew Brannon, who's been on before. But I would say the one thing I would just add to the Fit Body Fusion is that we really focus on the why. Why do you want to compete? Why? What is your goal? What's the thing that's driving you to this? Getting people really centered on that why is how we help them get to what they want.
Yep.
Well, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
Congrats on being #1 in the whole country. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
And thanks for having us on. This was fun.
Yes, thank you for sharing your story of all the fun stuff that went into building Fit Body Fusion and this beautiful life that you guys are living now.
Thanks for having us today.
All right, we'll see you guys next time.